Yeah, this one, I mean, I would challenge anybody that can sit here and challenge you on this.
Yeah. What makes life meaningful? The challenges of life.
As much as I like to go back and forth with you and try to and dive into it, it's like I would just be glorifying it because it's everything. There's not one thing there that can be challenged.
Thanks,
and
Ralph.
if you listen, if you can challenge it, let us know because I'd be very curious to hear how somebody could even go against it. I just love that quote we were saying before I roll the camera, but just hard work works because it's so true. Like
it is true.
The harder you work, and if you're putting in good work, it just the result is there and it happens. I'll relate it just to an instance that happened with me recently, just going out to LA and filming. Same concept where it's just you're doing things and you're mentally, and you want to understand when you do something long enough, eventually it just becomes automated because you're good at it. Like it's just you just know, right? Like it's just there's no I don't know how else to explain it. You just feel it. It's like, yeah, this is what you got to do. Why do you got to do it? It's like you just have to. I don't have time to sit here and explain to you why. It's because I've tried it a million different times, and this is the one way that I know that works. And that happened when I was filming in LA, and because of that, it got me to it. Originally, I went out there to help out. It turned into me running the entire set. So it was a whole set. If you count all the background and all the crew there, I think it was close to 91 people.
That's awesome.
So it's just like, but completely unexpected. But it was starting off with nothing. And out of nowhere, it's like, well, now I'm kind of just like the guy, like the conductor. Like, here it is. Like, you need to do this. Here we are. Like, let's go. We have a time crunch. But that idea of like putting all the work for the past how many years into it set me up for this one time. It's like, listen, man, everything you've been working for, now's the time. Let's see if you got it.
That's so cool, Ralph.
And it worked.
Yeah.
I always say I did it all for a text message because then you get a text message from one person, the person you want to impress on that set. And that one person shoots you a text message and goes, thank you very much for doing your job. And it's like,
that's pretty neat.
That's, you know what I mean? That just speaks wonders. The money doesn't matter because you know what I mean? I put in good work and I put in hard work and it got recognized. Who cares about the money at that point? Because I know now it's going to pay off somehow in the future, the next 10, 15 years, who knows?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That is natural leadership playing out in action.
It's just cool.
Right.
Yeah.
There's appointed leadership, natural leadership.
Yeah.
When a natural leader shows up that has a higher lid than anyone else in the room, they'll just rise right to the top.
I've just never looked at myself as a leader. I hate to say it like that because and again, I don't want to sound pretentious because I feel like I've always pictured and envisioned me like, I like to work. I like to do things. I like to interact with people. I like being involved with people. That's fun to me. Like this is fun. This is, I don't know. This is, some people be like, how the hell do you do it? I don't know. This is just fun. Yeah. This is cool.
Right. But leadership is influence. And you had the most influence in the room. That's why you rose to the top. Natural leadership. Leadership is just influence. So
I didn't think of it that way. That makes,
that's all it is. Yeah. In every area of life. I mean, John Maxwell is the most written person in the world in leadership. And he goes, it's so simple. Leadership it's just influence everywhere you go. And
can you expand? So you mean influence as in how? You think age has anything to do with it? Or just like
not even a little.
No.
Age happens naturally. Wisdom, understanding, maturity, knowledge. You got to work for that stuff. How many people that are old, that have the maturity of an 8-year-old? You know what I mean? Like they have the influence of a 13-year-old. But yeah, how many young kids that have tremendous influence? So leadership is influence. In order. Like this plays out perfectly crystal clear in a church. So, right, you've heard me say this before.
Yep.
Right, you got the pastor, a brand new pastor comes in. You got the appointed leader. That's the person that's been assigned the position of leadership. But then there's some person that's been in that church that's been there for like 30 years, and they are the natural leader. They've been there. Everyone looks to them for all the leadership of where we're going because that person has influence over the congregation. The new pastor coming in does not have the influence yet. He has the title, but not the influence. And if the pastor's smart, he would find the person that has the influence and work through that person until he gains the influence. And influence is only gained through trust, right? It's they have to like you and trust you, and then you can influence them. This roots back to sales. If you want to have a sale, they have to like you and trust you. You're influencing them to buy your product. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Leadership and sales is all the same. It's all interconnected. So you going out there, you're like, yes, let's go out here. It's a lot of fun. I can't imagine being paid for this, but you had the largest influence because you basically leaders see more than other people see, and they see it before other people see it. So in other words, you can fly above it all, look down and see it through everyone's perspective on the set. And he who can fly the highest is the natural leader of the group. Whoever's that has that broadest perspective of the whole thing. Because you understand how this piece fits and that piece fits, where they might go, I have no idea. This is why you go, yeah, I can just see it.
That makes sense.
Right.
I was talking to Alex about it too, because it falls into that. Because we did a podcast episode out there. I'll send it to you when it's finished. But we were challenging the quote of it's bad to be a jack of all trades and a master of no. Don't be a jack of all trades, be a master of one. And that's where the quote stopped. I didn't know that there was a second half to that quote. Did you know that there was a second half to that quote?
What is it?
I'm going to pull it up too, because I don't want to misquote it. Of all trades, because I was like, you got to be kidding me. So the whole quote is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
But oftentimes,
a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. That's like the true original quote. Doesn't it make you change your perspective on it? Because my whole life I've grown up, it's like you got to be a master at one thing. And I've always sat back like, I don't understand. Sure, you got to be good at one thing. You have to be very good at one thing. I totally understand that. But you need to understand how that one thing works. And by understanding how that one thing works, you have to know how to do all the other things to get you to that one thing. But you're not necessarily going to be a master at it. So in this, right? Like that was my thing. And we were having the discourse back and forth going back. And he was just like, do you know the whole second? I was like, no, I didn't know the original quote. And he read that quote and I was like, holy mackerel. I didn't know that. My whole life, I'm like, it's better. You know what I mean? My whole life, it's like, well, I got to find one thing to be good at or to be the absolute best. That's it. You only do one thing. And it's like, well, it's also better to know these things than only know one thing. And I think because of that is why it excelled to where I was over the weekend. It was just like food for thought, like one of those things. Like I just never knew that was the actual quote for the longest time.
So, but with that quote, I would think about the social skills. And then there's the hard skills, like the skills to hang the drywall in the room here. I can hang drywall, but I'm not the best at it, right? But then there's the social skills. If there's one thing that I would say that if you master, what is the one thing that if you master, it'll improve every other area of your life? One thing. There is one thing.
Are you asking me, Ralph?
Yeah. Can you think of? There's one thing that if you can master one word. There's one word. If I master this one thing, it will make everything better, everything in my life better. It'll improve every area of my life.
Wow.
We're doing it right now.
I'd say communication. What really?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say that'd be my best. Yeah.
Right. How many people do you know that they're a master woodworker, but they can't communicate to the world of what they do, so they do it in their basement, and the world never sees the light of day. Right. They never see that woodwork. But with this topic of becoming a master of everything, or knowing a little bit about everything, right? I don't know. I'm still.
That's the challenge. I got him. That was the challenge.
But I still like I could jump on an excavator and use the excavator. I could make wine. I can do a presentation. So there is a broad. You're right. You're only as free as your options. So the more options you have, the more free you are. So that ties in tight to that quote. But at the same time, the people that are truly successful in an area of life, they focus a lot of energy on that one area. They hone in on one thing at a time. And I think therein lies the difference where, like right now, I focus on the winery. The winery gets my attention. When it comes to business, the winery's getting it all. So the winery is going to go to the moon. Because if I was like doing the winery and I was also doing a restaurant over there and I also had an excavating business and I also had a landscaping business and I also did this water treatment plant over there, it would all become very bland and nothing might spike to the moon, right? So I think the people... You do need to have a broad knowledge of everything. I agree with that. A basic understanding of how things work. I mean, a lot of people, they don't understand that we can turn a faucet on. Where does the water go?
Yeah.
I mean, truly, they don't realize what happens after that moment when you don't see the water anymore. So it is good to understand the way the world works, and how things happen in this world, But at the same time, I would say that becoming a master of one specific thing will make you more successful than trying to be good at everything. I would. Then focusing on everything. Let me reword it. You can be good at everything, but you should focus on one thing at a time for a long enough time for it to become successful. Because it's just like planting seeds in this world. You don't plant a seed and the next day you harvest the little thing that grew. Nothing's going to be there. You got to give it time to grow. And this is the way focus in life is. So I say, find your purpose, focus on it, pour all your potential into that purpose long enough for it to take root and grow in this world. because our purpose and our potential, it's not connected to, it's not for you. It's for everyone around you. It's not really for you to serve yourself. It's for you to serve the people around you. And when you're doing that, holy cow, there's no limits. All the money will find you if you're looking for money, you know?
Damn, Alex, if you're listening to this, we done got goofed on it.
Oh, no.
I'm messing.
But I mean, it's, I see the point though, because, you know, like that's like I said earlier, you know, like you want to be where you're free as your options.
Yeah.
So if you're only, I mean, I know a guy that, man, what did he design?
I love that. You're as free as your options.
You're only as free as your options. So if all of a sudden the wine business, if the U.S. outlawed wine, I'm okay. I can go make money, I can do other things. You know what I mean? Like if you want to make a living, there's stuff I can do, you know, but if that's all I knew and it was the only thing I knew, I'm in trouble. I mean, I know people that were in transistors, like
electrical transistors.
Yeah. So the guy I knew, he made things that now doesn't even exist.
Oh,
Something else replaced it. And he's never reinvented himself. So his life is over. At least his business life is over. And now he just, you know, he works at a local, you know, Home Depot or Lowe's, and that's what he does. And
interesting.
And he has an engineering degree.
Wow.
But what he was engineering doesn't exist anymore. So
instead of adapting.
Right. So this is someone that you're only as free as your options. He had one option. That option closed. Now he's got nothing else. And he's not interested in opening the door to more options in his life. So he's just passing time at this point. Just letting time pass by. I mean, that right there is a recipe for depression. That's a recipe for disaster. A recipe for not living a life on purpose. That's a recipe being exhausted every day. You know?
Yeah.
Something.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I like that. What makes life meaningful and exciting? The challenges of life is what makes it.
Hard work works.
Hard work works. It really does every time.
That. Thanks, Rand.
Thanks, Ralph.